have noticed that Trump, ever so predictable, is trying to distract you with his bullshit fucking lawsuit against the BBC. Well, that's because this little article from Vanity Fair's Chris Whipple dropped in relation to Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. I've read both parts. It is a fair-minded article. But Susie Wiles herself issued this bullshit statement. Oh, significant context was disregarded and much of blah, 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 blah. We're going to summarize this article, and we're going to stick with Susie Wiles's words. Her statements, not bullshit, not taken out of context, are actual fucking sentences in response to an actual fucking question. And we have some spicy rejoinders right out of the gate here, folks. Susie Wiles's own fucking words, not taken out of context. Trump has an alcoholic's personality. Her fucking words. Vance's conversion from Never Trumper to MAGA acolyte has been sort of political. Her actual fucking words. The vice president, a conspiracy theorist for a decade. Her actual fucking words. Russell Vought, a right-wing absolute zealot. Her absolute fucking words. Musk, I think that's when he's microdosing in response to when he's fucking tweeting crazy shit. Her actual fucking words. Nothing is out of context. And I'm just getting started here, folks. And here is Susie Wiles' actual fucking words, because Whipple talked to her for more than a fucking year. Her actual fucking words, not out of context. This is in relation to the completely immoral cut of U.S. aid. With that attitude, you're going to break some China. No rational person could think that the U.S. aid process was a good one. Nobody. Yeah, thousands of lost lives. No rational fucking person would ever want to save lives, right? Right? Actual fucking words here, folks. And here is what Susie Wiles, her actual fucking words, has to say about the unconstitutional ICE arrests. If somebody's a known gang member who has a criminal past and you're sure, i.e. evidence, due process, fair trial, and you can demonstrate it, i.e. evidence, due process, full trial, it's probably fine to send them to El Salvador or whatever. But if there is a question, I think our process has to lean towards a double check, which of course has not happened. This is, again, her actual fucking words concerning following the court's orders. Susie Wiles' actual fucking words. Do you think he will adhere to whatever the courts decide in the end? Whipple's question, her fucking response. I do. The smart lawyers around us think that we will be slowed down as we already have been, but we will ultimately prevail. This was just last week, you fucking moron. Again, these are Susie Wiles' actual fucking words. Trump's fucking chief of staff. There is nothing out of context here. Q&A fucking Susie Wiles. Susie Wiles' actual fucking words, not taking out of context. So all of this talk about accusing Letitia James of mortgage fraud, well, that might actually be the one retribution. Susie Wiles' actual fucking words, she's saying he was committing retribution against this James. Not out of fucking context, for fuck's sake. God damn you, MAGA cultists. In relation to Trump serving a third term, she says, despite not being a lawyer, that she believes in the 22nd Amendment, which gives you only 2 terms as president. This is her actual fucking words, God damn it. Doesn't know what the fucking number of deaths are on the fucking drug boats. You don't get the death penalty if you're shipping drugs, God damn it. Her actual fucking words. Not that he wanted to kill people necessarily, but stopping the killing wasn't his first thought. These are her actual motherfucking words, not out of context. I cannot overstate how much his ongoing motivation is to stop the killing. Trump not being a warmonger. Her actual fucking words, this is patently a fucking lie, not out of context. And these are just the highlights, folks. The highlights. I've cited how many examples now of Susie Wiles' actual fucking words being used in a fair-minded piece examining what the Trump administration is doing. All these were words that came out of Susie Wiles' mouth over the course of more than a year. If you didn't want to get this shit on the record, you probably should have shut the fuck up. If you're around a reporter, everything's fucking fair game. These are your actual fucking words, Susie Wiles. You are a completely fucking terrible and evil chief of staff. Are you gonna sue Vanity Fair because they reported the actual fucking shit that you actually fucking said? For fuck's sake, I want off this fucking timeline.